So in my 9th grade math class, we had a teacher named Mr. Davidson, and he was pretty cool, but the one problem everyone had with him was that he spoke in the most monotone voice. Mix in the fact that he's explaining formula equations and reciting numbers, and now you have a class of 32 sleeping kids because your voice is basically stronger than a bear tranquilizer. So now you're going to carry the 4, divide the 6, then subtract the 3 from the cofactor. So to stay awake, me and my friends would shoot each other with these things called wasps. Basically, you fold a piece of paper a bunch of times into a V shape, then you take a rubber band, place it on the tip, wind it up, and bam, you shoot it at someone. They were called wasps because when you got hit with it, it stung, like a bitch, or literally a wasp. So whenever one of our friends was falling asleep, we would shoot them with the wasp. And probably in the face. Okay, well, not just when they were falling asleep, we did it whenever we felt like it, because it was hilarious. Maybe your friend was zoning out, or maybe they were texting on their phone. Or maybe even they were paying attention to the instructor and quietly doing their worksheet. This is where you respect their work ethic and leave them alone.
Harold, what the fuck? Ha! Fingers were crossed, I was kidding.
Now, there were never really injuries when we were playing with wasps. Just a quick sting, maybe one of these.
Ah, dude, you hit my eye!
And some laughter. Unless you got hit by one of our other friends, Tanner. He was one of those freakishly tall kids. He was roughly 6'2".
But Harold, that's not that tall!
Now, that is true, 6'2" isn't surprisingly tall or anything, as an adult maybe. But may I remind you, we were 13! He was seriously taller than most of our teachers, and he just started hitting puberty. Tanner was the size of a full-grown adult, and we were all, well, regular preteens. Him and his above-average levels of growth hormone made him a lot stronger than your average kid, and he could pull back the elastic way farther than any of us. And so when he shot the wasp, what the fuck? And it showed, because it wasn't uncommon for others to draw blood because the skin would split. Should we have stopped after that? Probably. But did we stop? No. What am I, a pussy? He also then later brought a thicker and longer elastic, which was complete bullcrap by the way, because like he didn't already have enough of an advantage. Tanner was so tall, he kind of fit awkwardly into his desk. And to me, it looked like this. I don't know, I just sort of wanted to add that in there. Obviously, he was a lot bigger than all of us, and if he felt like it, he could launch a wasp from a really high angle. And wait, is that the Pythagorean theorem? What the fuck?
If the distance from Tanner's head to Jeff's head is 14 centimeters and the distance from Jeff to Harold is 60 centimeters, what is the distance from Tanner's head to Harold's stupid fat head?
Anyway, sometimes one of us would misfire and accidentally end up hitting a random person, which we would apologize profusely for, by the way. What did you think we were? Savages? But usually they wouldn't even get mad, and in fact, they would join in on the fun. Hey, who's causing all the noise? Still monotone. And obviously, no one said anything. When you ask a bunch of young kids who did it, are you really expecting an honest and immediate answer? Hey, who's causing all the noise? Wait! Punish me, Mr. Davidson, for it was I, Harold. I was the one who was causing the classroom ruckus with my childish antics of engineering a makeshift handheld catapult device and launching paper projectiles at my fellow classmates with the intent of hurting them or causing mild discomfort through the pain induced by the previously stated paper ballistic projectiles, because I find it quite comical and also seek validation through the acceptance and laughter of my peers, and also your math lecture is boring as shit. Okay, that's enough. Thank you, Harold. You have detention, by the way. Dick. However, I will admit that sometimes we did get out of hand, and I'm sure that there were some kids who would think, why are those kids so loud and obnoxious? And why does that one make stupid YouTube videos? But for the most part, messing around and making stupid jokes was something that my entire class would partake in, and even the super quiet, serious kids from time to time would crack up. These slingshots got really popular in my 9th grade, and after a while, kids began adding mods to their wasps. People would bring different elastic bands, or they would try to fold the paper in different ways, and of course, that one Asian kid would always make a ninja shuriken or a bunch of claws, or maybe even a swan. They didn't launch that well, but it looked hilarious. And all in all, it was all still paper, so it was still pretty safe. Safe enough, I guess. But as usual, there's always that one kid that has to ruin everything. So, long story short, a kid, I'll call him Michael, decided to try and fit a staple into his wasp. Like this.
No.
Just looking at this thing gives me anxiety. At this point, you're basically shooting a thumbtack at someone. It's all fun and games until someone gets hit in the face with a wasp that actually has a semi-sharp piece of metal attached to the end of it. Could you imagine if Tanner shot this thing? Now let me just talk about Michael for a quick second. He was an unorthodox dude, meaning he just didn't do things the way that people normally did them. He said himself once, I think that things you haven't seen before are like the coolest things. Wait, whoa, that's kind of deep. He did things like tuck his pants into his socks and then hike them up to his knees. This looked extra funky in combination with his tucked in pants. Not to mention he also spent his lunch break outside doing bird calls, so that's a thing. And whenever he talked to people, he would always add in the word man at the end of his sentences. That or talk about world peace. I think he was role-playing as a hippie or something. I don't know if he was messing with everyone as a joke, or if that was actually the way that he acted. Anyways, that's just to give you an idea of what kind of person Michael was. Oh yeah, and he also played the saxophone, and then he would make faces like this while playing. So we managed to spot him before he managed to actually shoot the wasp, thank the Lord. That could have turned into like the school accident or something. Apparently he didn't plan on shooting anyone with it, apparently, and instead just wanted to do an experiment, but I guess we'll never know. I'm just making an experiment. Man. So the moral of the story is, don't be loud and obnoxious or shoot paper wasps at your friends. Even though it was hilarious and a lot of fun and created a lot of jokes and memories and... Wait, where am I going with this?
You're a terrible role model.